Hey everybody, it's Tripl-L coming in to talk about Full Dive, the next gen RPG that sucks. Anyway, I've actually recorded episodes 1 to 3 and then episode 4, my review for it. And I do want to put them up, but chances are you're going to see this one first, which is episode 5. So the other two will be on the channel at some point. I don't know if the notifications will go out for them. But if you want to know my thoughts for the older episodes, you can check it out there. Just to summarize it here for you so you don't have to go through those episodes, because those episodes are just me complaining. It's pretty much Full Dive is just very unlikable. And it's not unlikable just with the game itself. It's unlikable because the characters suck. At least the real characters. Ironically, I've found myself to really be enjoying the the sadist girl, the redhead girl, and the yandere. I've actually found myself enjoying those two quite a bit. But otherwise, you know, Full Dive. I thought this episode was a little bit better this week for episode 5, legitimately. I came into it that there were still a lot of annoying things in it, but one thing I do love, one thing that's part of my ritual with watching this anime is going into the comment sections and seeing how much everyone's ragging on it. And people are legitimately just really ragging on it, man. It's just, especially with this episode, I appreciate some things, right? I appreciate that the kid is pointing out how shitty the actual game is, because some things here don't make sense, or you know, some things are just a little bit too much. And in terms of what he points out, like he points out, oh, you guys forwarded the time frame even though we were paused or whatever. And I'm thinking, yeah, sure, that's all right, but even just from the premise of this game just doesn't work. I think in episode 4 I complained a little bit about this, but the premising for the game doesn't work. They talk about how the NPCs are built from the ground up and they have so many billions of possible plot lines because of the way the NPCs react, but really this is all just the premise doesn't work. I don't think the author was able to handle the premise, but most of the time it doesn't pop up, and half of the time the deficiencies in the video game are pointed out by the main character, but that's kind of the gimmick, right? Like, it's even worse than real life, so of course you're going to be seeing him pointed out. But when it comes to this one, every week it gets more clear. It's one thing if you want to make a comedy about a game that sucks. It's another thing if you're filling that comedy with characters that suck. And right now, this is such a situation where there are times coming into the episode, I was rooting a lot more for the main character, because the person he's paired up with, Riona, is just so terrible and so annoying. So I felt bad for him coming in, and sure enough, throughout the episode, Riona is still herself, which is just a little bit too much. She's a little bit. I do appreciate every time that the main character calls her out, but without any real consequences for her, it all kind of falls flat. It's just like a comedy routine, and she's just really mean-spirited. Like, there's just no real reason. She's not remorseful about anything she's learning. She's not. Well, no, she's not learning anything. It just doesn't make for a fun time, and it makes me really feel bad for the guy, especially with the way she keeps ragging on him and his bedwetting and all that. Very terrible person. But then you have the guy, and it's just like, brah, to some degree, everything that happens to you, you deserve it. And this is like the tough part. Is that intentional, or does the writer not know how to make likable characters? Well, I don't even know, because the people I like because they're funny, because they make this kid's life worse. But yeah, no, the way that he carries himself, and this is actually probably just his character, he's legitimately just such a loser to follow. Coming into it, I thought it'd be better for him, because this would be, he's put in a point of victimization, but then when you have opportunities to really let this kid branch out, it really reminds you that the thing from the 4th episode, because the 4th episode is the one that really kind of tells you that he has severe character flaws when push comes to shove. But you look at it, and when he's talking to the person who's trying to give him the job, it's like, come on, guy, it's a game. Just get over it. Stop being such a wuss. Like, oh my god. And then he makes that other judgment call later on, like, oh, I'm gonna go to the store that has the pretty signage and the woman. Mind you, advertisement works that way. And honestly, when he gets penalized for that decision with the girl taking him for all he's worth, he deserves it too. you know, still it sucks that he's surrounded by so many manipulative women. It sucks that Riona sees what this video game character is doing and decides that she wants to adopt that methodology. Honestly, she should be slapped out of business. Like, not the NPC, but Riona should be out of business. I don't care what kind of sob story she has at this point. Just get her out of there. But that's just the kind of feeling that you get from the anime, right? But anyway, you had an opportunity there for that main character to feel a little bit more redeemable, and it doesn't stick the landing. It doesn't stick the landing. When he has the opportunity to actually be a little bit cooler, he just kind of falls all the way down. Now, mind you, there are other things that are pretty stupid in the episode. Like the merchant girl says, like, oh yeah, it's gonna take 2 months for the anger to die down, and I'm thinking, like, 2 months? That's a really specific, almost game-like number, and it's just like, everything about this is the worst game in the world. In the episode, though, we do have a continuation plot line. If you notice, there was a line about the guy with gout saying that he doesn't know the answer to the question, and this brings up a whole other aspect of the main character. Crap, I forgot about this. The main character is still shocked that the tutorial guide was correct about there being a sword in the room. He's still shocked, and I think that's the other thing. If he could just be a little bit more humble, like, holy crap. But then again, he's a terrible person. The only reason that he looks slightly better is because Riona is shittier. But is that fun? I mean, I know some people will enjoy that, but at this point, this is just such an exercise in unlikability. But I love watching everyone's reaction to it. It's so funny. And again, the yandere makes it worthwhile. But just with the whole situation here, I'm gonna say, again, in terms of another NPC I actually really enjoyed, the guard captain being able to say, like, yeah, you know, this looks like an accident. Probably an accident. That was so refreshing. Like, holy crap, I did not think that level of intelligence was present in the anime in general. So that gives me hope, but it reinforces the idea that the main NPCs are by far the most likable part of the anime, which isn't saying a lot because you're dealing with a terrible main character who has designed flaws and then inadvertent flaws, and you have Riona, who is just like, holy crap, man. Look, man, if that lady is in debt 50,000 and she has multiple loans out with the local yakuza who have threatened to take her thumbs, I don't care. Honestly, couldn't happen to a worse person. Oh, that'd be a little bit mean. But that's her fault for taking loans out with a local yakuza if she did that. But you know what? Whenever her sob story comes up, I'm not gonna take her seriously. Also, I saw like some comments trying to say that it's not that bad. She's an adult coming on to a hormonal teenager, and it's like the guy is 17 and she's 20. It's like not the worst, not legitimately not the worst age gap, but still illegal. Still. Actually, age of consent in Japan for some prefectures is 16. Let's say still illegal. Still illegal. I think without parental consent, still illegal. Point is, it's kinda, you know, not the best thing to be taking advantage of a high schooler with severe emotional problems that you know he has severe emotional problems. You can at least glimpse at it. But that was just a funny comment. People saying that he's actually 18 and she's actually 19. It's like, nah. I had to go check too. It's on the wiki, so I assume that information is correct. But overall, yeah. You know, in terms of the game being a terrible thing, it's terrible, one, because of everything that the main character points out. But it's also terrible just from conception of the author. Like, they weren't able to execute on this very well. And in terms of the NPCs, ironically, the NPCs are actually pretty cool. Now, it's cool because I see some comments sometimes from light novel readers saying that every single thing that happened to the MC, it's a lot worse. It gets a lot worse in the light novels, and I think really I need to see this kid suffer more, because that's the only way I'm gonna have any kind of care for him. I need to see him like really pissing his pants and like really peeing and soiling himself, because otherwise I'm just not gonna root for him. And actually, I'm rooting for the childhood friend to like cut him up a little bit. Now there was another thing that came up in the episode. Riona pointed out that he actually runs pretty fast, and this is important because, you know, they point out how your physical capabilities are translated into the game, so that's worth considering. running is probably going to be his thing in the game. If you notice in the opening, he's also kind of running. So it's cool to have the little nods. If you look at the little details, I can legitimately appreciate the plot threads. I think they're done more or less well. Like, you can tell what exactly the writer wants you to focus on, or you can tell where the breadcrumbs are. So that is good. But they probably work better on little details. They probably aren't that great on the world building itself. Just because again, they just don't execute on the general premise of what this game world is. And just to get some of my ideas out here, one of the big problems is that this is a game where there's multiple players logged into it, and you can't. He logged out and logged back in, and he was able to log in continuing right from his plot line. That shouldn't be able to work if this is actually a connected game where realism is preserved, because while the gout player is in, these characters shouldn't just be frozen unless you're making multiple instances of the character. But then that's not very realistic. So, you know, it doesn't work. Making individualized NPCs for every storyline, that doesn't sell the premise of this is the most realistic RPG to ever come about. But like, it's a lot of inconsistency like that. Not a big deal. Overall though, I just absolutely love seeing the comments. If you go to any, you know, those kind of anime sites and there's a comment section, you should look at the comment section. It is gold, man. It is gold. Like, Riona really makes my blood boil. This thought of an adult is too insensitive and selfish. It's obvious she has her other agenda on her mind while manipulating the stupid MC. Yeah, unfortunately the kid too, you could really just make the point, he is quite literally a hormonal teenager. He's being guided entirely by his hormones. Poor guy. He's gonna be taken for a ride. At least he has the torturer on his side though. That is legitimately a good thing, because he really needs some help here. And the good thing about it is that she's going to be helpful while also making his life miserable, which honestly he probably has coming. The guy was a real dick to his sister, and that one track guy pointed out he had severe problems. Anyway guys, that was episode 5. Do I have anything else to say? No, not really. Not really. No. I love seeing the comments. Really glad that we're here. I can't wait to see more of how horrible this is. You know, I guess the big thing is, would you spend money on this? That's really what success would ride on. Would you spend money on this as a novel? Probably not. Maybe I'd buy the first volume and not refund it. Maybe. And maybe, actually no, that's about it. I was gonna say like maybe Blu-rays for Riona if you really like her, but I don't. Almost got me there though, almost got me. But yeah, nah. I wonder who the actual target audience for this is. I wonder who the fans were that made people believe that this thing was worth adapting. But yeah, oh, I guess another thing is that in this one you see that the gout player, the big guy, also knew Riona, calling her the little helper fairy. That was fine. Anyway, yeah guys, let me know what you thought down below. What am I looking forward to? I want to see Riona's sob story only so I can laugh. Because a lot of her wounds seem self-inflicted, and I want to laugh a bit more. I think that's what it is. I'm going to laugh a lot about this anime. Anyway, let me know what you thought down below, and until next time, I hope you have an absolutely great day.